I need them to, with my knees, get off my neck.
Yeah.
Well, I really would love for Wendy to come out of everything and, just for one, be able to go back to living her own life and not feeling like she has to be confined.
Diddy will go to prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day, and you want to know what? It's about time, people. It is about time.
Those new test results could be the key to a judge ending the guardianship that keeps Wendy Williams under constant supervision. She was last seen here at this memory care unit in Hudson Yards. Hey! We want Wendy free today! A positive step forward for those who have been rallying for TV star Wendy Williams to be set free from her legal and financial guardianship.
The conservator was more upset about how they were portrayed than how Wendy was portrayed, which is, I think, was like, well, your job is to be concerned with Wendy. That's your job.
Because it just shows that they're not looking after her, and so they look bad.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
No. Like, she seems fine when she's chatting.
Those new test results could be the key to a judge ending the guardianship that keeps Wendy Williams under constant supervision. She was last seen.
The industry is shaking again, and today the tea is scalding. Wendy Williams' case just took a shocking turn, and the timing has everyone side-eyeing the same powerful names. From misdiagnosed illnesses to Hollywood's biggest players allegedly pulling strings behind closed doors, this story gets darker the deeper you go. So grab a drink, settle in, and stay tuned, because you're about to hear the part they don't want you to know.
I can't do it with these two people again. I can't. And I'm speaking of the guardian.
And the guardians.
And the judge.
I've served in the role as a court-appointed guardian and a guardian ad litem. Anyone can petition the court for guardianship. And what happens at that point in time, the judge assigns an attorney to the vulnerable adult. The judge may also assign a temporary court-appointed
Wendy
guardian.
Williams made some shocking claims in a rare interview on The Breakfast Club. She called the show to slam her conservatorship and expose some of the conditions that they're holding her under.
Wendy is not incapacitated.
A source tells Pix 11 News that Williams' legal team will use these test results to file another motion in court to sever the legal and financial control that Williams is under. But her guardian has previously said she tested positive for frontal temporal.
We want Wendy free today!
A positive step forward for those who have been rallying for TV star Wendy Williams to be set free from her legal and financial guardianship. A source tells Pix 11 News.
It looks like Wendy Williams might finally be getting out of that messy guardianship, and the reason is wild. New test results came out showing she was intentionally misdiagnosed with mental illnesses she never even had. And the worst part, the same team the court assigned to protect her is allegedly the same group behind the fake diagnosis in the first place.
No, but I feel like I am in prison. What if I can't see my dad for his birthday? At 94, the day after that is not promised. My life.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage,
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You represent a lot.
Wendy had been trying to tell everybody for months that she wasn't crazy, but nobody believed her. Even Nicki Minaj tried to warn people about what was going on behind the scenes, but social media brushed her off too. And according to Nicki, she spoke up because she thinks she's next in line to be misdiagnosed and pushed into a conservatorship the same way Wendy was. But just like with Wendy, people probably won't listen until it's too late.
I know I pissed a lot of people off, including you. But this is a full circle moment, everybody.
Yes.
Get into adult conversation. This is full circle.
Yeah.
The whole situation blew up again when TMZ revealed that Wendy went through a new round of neurological testing by a top New York specialist. And the results showed she never had the condition that kept her trapped under guardianship for years. Meanwhile, they had already forced her into mental health facilities, canceled her show, kept her away from her family, and even gave her medication she didn't need. And now it turns out the illness they claim she had was never real to begin with.
Wendy was living in New York until last April when cameras stopped filming, and I understand she then went into a facility to get treatment, and you don't even know where the facility is.
Right.
Have you been able to be in any kind of contact with her since she's been there?
Yes, but again, same thing with this answer, it's layered. So she can call us, but we can't call her. So for instance, yesterday I was out, I was having dinner and I missed a call. And I ran to the bathroom and I came back and I realized that it was my aunt.
Oh.
But I can't call her back. So therefore, I haven't talked to her. I can't write. If I tried to call, I am told that there's nobody here by that name.
Oh.
She went into where she is now between April and May of last year. We went months before we were finally even able to get a call.
According to Wendy, none of this was an accident. She believes it was all a deliberate move by Wells Fargo, who originally pushed for the guardianship by claiming she was mentally unfit and vulnerable. Once they got that diagnosis, everything went downhill. She was labeled with frontotemporal dementia and dysphagia, and that label basically became the excuse to control her money and her entire life. Things get even messier when you look at her legal guardian, Sabrina Morrissey. When Sabrina first stepped in, there were reports that Wendy was actually doing better. So how did she suddenly go from improving to severely ill right after Sabrina took over? The timing is suspicious. Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., even spoke up and called the whole situation out. He said Wendy's own doctor told them her symptoms were alcohol-related, yet the team around her still kept letting her drink. On top of that, they completely cut her off from her family, so nobody knew where she was or what was happening to her behind closed doors. Kevin later said he felt like the guardian wasn't protecting his mom at all. And honestly, after everything that's happened, it's hard to argue with him. Wendy is...
Hearing all that we've heard about everything that she's been going on with this past couple of years, what do you take of all this situation, and what do you ultimately want for her situation?
I really would love for Wendy to come out of everything and, just for one, be able to go back to living her own life and not feeling like she has to be confined to that space that they have her at, because she's clearly not out of her mind.
Wendy has been fighting nonstop to break free from her guardianship, but the people controlling it are not backing down. She even went to several independent doctors to prove she didn't have the illnesses they claim she had. But every time she brought back clean results, they kept pushing the same narrative. And here's what makes it even more suspicious. Experts say that people with frontotemporal dementia only get worse over time. Yet Wendy has actually been improving, especially after staying clean and sober for the last 3 years. Her progress alone should have been a huge red flag, but nobody on her team seemed interested in that.
I've served in the role as a court-appointed guardian and a guardian ad litem. Anyone can petition the court for guardianship. And what happens at that point in time, the judge assigns an attorney to the vulnerable adult. The judge may also assign a temporary court-appointed guardian. The judge will also assign a guardian ad litem. So a guardian ad litem is a third party who works on behalf of the vulnerable adult. In South Carolina, typically the conservator only manages the money and the guardian manages the health care, but the guardian can also manage the money. Now, what I am most interested in Wendy's situation is, where is the guardian ad litem, and what was the result of the assessment that guardian ad litem did to determine whether or not the person should lose their rights, and if they do, what rights were they?
TMZ recently reported that her legal team is finally gearing up to take action. They're expected to file new documents within the next 2 weeks, pushing the court to schedule a hearing where they'll officially ask the judge to end the guardianship. And if the judge refuses, Wendy's bringing in the big G's, her lawyer, Joe Tacopina, and he's ready to demand a full jury trial so actual jurors, not the system, can decide her fate.
Want her
Now,
in desperate need and
the
show that there's something there. Yeah.
The conservator was more upset about how they were portrayed than how Wendy was portrayed, which is, I think, was your job is to be concerned with Wendy. That's your job.
Because it just shows that they're not looking after her, and so they look bad.
It's not a good look.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
No. She seems fine when she's chatting and stuff, and when she was on TMZ that time talking on the phone to Harvey. She seemed like totally coherent.
Yeah, well, I think in a way I do, but in a way I don't think she did. Like, as she kept saying, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, I don't think she had really thought out what she was saying. She didn't complete a lot of those thoughts. I don't think that necessarily a network is going to be comfortable taking that kind of risk. And we talk about this when we talk about the future of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Like, Hollywood is very risk averse.
Now, when Wendy was first diagnosed into this whole conservatorship mess, a lot of people pointed to one name, Diddy. He and Wendy have a long, chaotic history. And if you've followed them through the years, you already know Diddy allegedly held a grudge and wanted her gone for a long time. Wendy even called him out back then, saying she received photos of him on vacation in Mexico where another man was allegedly performing an explicit act on him. According to her, these pictures were emailed directly to her, and she wasn't shy about talking about it. Witnesses...
Okay, he was arrested for and making
Help him to get support. Cassie posted a photo of herself the other day. Here's the photo. And he commented, "Love you forever." Well, I thought that he was now with a 22-year-old.
Later explained what happened during that trip. They claimed someone was joking around with Diddy, pulled down his swimming trunks, and then a group of girls taking photos accidentally captured the moment. Those photos supposedly made their way to Wendy, and she started telling people she had Diddy in a compromising position. That alone triggered a whole storm. Insiders say Diddy went straight to Hot 97 and told them that if they didn't fire her before he got back to New York, none of his artists or industry friends would ever give the station music again. Basically, he threatened a full boycott. And apparently, that pressure worked. People who were around at the time said that while Diddy was in Los Angeles, Wendy got quietly fired and moved to a station in Philly. One comment from that era even described the hip-hop scene back then as a very same-sex era, which gives you an idea of how sensitive, messy, and unpredictable the industry was during that time, especially for anyone exposing secrets. Before all this chaos, Wendy Williams was already known as the radio host who wasn't afraid to say things other people avoided. And back then, she got dragged and attacked for it. What's funny is that everything she talked about is now coming full circle. A lot of the drama she called out years ago is exactly what people are finally seeing today. One example is when 19-year-old Shine took the fall for Diddy during that infamous club incident with a G. Wendy never bought the official story. She questioned the whole thing and pushed for a real investigation because she believed Diddy and J-Lo were hiding something. She was also one of the first people to point out the strange dynamic between Diddy and Cassie, way before Cassie ever left him.
We know what happened, and we hope, that it all turns out the way it's supposed to.
You had to be disturbed by a report in the New York paper yesterday.
Yeah.
It said an eyewitness along 8th Avenue as your car drove by saw a female hand throwing a to the car.
Ridiculous. I don't even
You're the
want
only
to
female in the car. You don't want to talk about
Ridiculous.
it? You very confident that Puffy will be found innocent in this trial?
Yes, I will.
You're going to testify?
If they need me.
But you haven't been asked
I
yet.
haven't been asked yet. So.
It's a difficult time.
And the stories only get messier. During that club incident, witnesses said Diddy ran out so fast he didn't even realize he left Jennifer and his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf, behind. He jumped into the SUV and sped off. Wendy once said that behavior was the biggest red flag of all, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. Later on, Jennifer and Wolf made it to the SUV by themselves and reportedly ran through multiple red lights trying to get away from the police. Some people even claim they saw someone tossing something out the window.
Everybody testified that, Diddy was arguing. The guy threw money in Diddy's face, and Diddy was arguing, and people were looking at him like, yo, let's get him out of here. And he refused to leave. He kept going back and forth. And then Scar was like, yo, Shine, you with him? I'm gonna. And that's when he pulled out. And I pulled out my. There were 3 that night, and they never took the fragments out of the victims. So we don't know who the victims. Even today, and all that I'm saying, I'm telling you that if he the victim, he was defending himself. Mm-hmm. Because we were not the aggressors.
What were the charges?
I got convicted of for depraved
indifference.
So, depraved indifference.
Police are searching for the 2 men who shot Matthew Allen once in the head yesterday afternoon. He was in the hospital.
When police finally caught up, they found another G in the car. Everybody inside, the driver, the bodyguard, Jennifer, and Diddy, all ended up in handcuffs. And while they were all at the precinct, Diddy and Wolf were allegedly overheard talking about bribing the driver to take the blame for everything. One prosecutor claimed Diddy even said he couldn't go to jail because of who he was.
All Jennifer Lopez had to do was marry a white boy, Oscar winner, for people to stop remembering that she had a pocketbook. She had residue on her hands the night that Natanya was at that club. Not once has she spoken up for the betterment of that woman or say something in her defense to stop Puffy from gaslighting her and trying to put hits out on her because he was afraid that maybe one day they would open the case and she still has the segments in her face like J-Lo has said nothing. You really thought that just running off and marrying Ben Affleck was going to take you out of the Diddy downfall?
But Wendy didn't stop there. She also called out Diddy years later when he started posting about Cassie online. He once uploaded a picture paired with Michael Jackson's Lady in My Life, basically begging people to tell Cassie to listen to the song 100 times. But Wendy didn't buy the romantic act. She felt he was treating Cassie more like property than a partner, and said that if he truly cared, he wouldn't be using social media as his way in. He would have reached out privately.
Cassie told the court that she had at one point told her husband Alex that he could raise the children without her and that she didn't want to live with this pain anymore. On Cassie's second day of testimony, she sat through hours of questioning while very heavily pregnant, but for the most part, she kept her composure and was very calm. That sort of cracked a little bit when she struggled to get through an account in 2018 after she and Sean Combs had broken up, when she says that Combs allegedly on her living room floor. Not long after she said this, she testified to going through trauma therapy and rehab in 2023. That's when she broke down crying, talking about having suicide. She talked about letting out all of these feelings and reliving what had happened to her through trauma therapy and writing things down in the form of a book. She told the court that she wanted Combs to read it because she wanted him to know what he had done to her, and she saying that she just wanted him to understand.
Let's not forget that Diddy and Wendy had serious beef for years. Their history was so bad that at one point, he allegedly tried to push her out of New York completely. On an old show, a guest even mentioned it and said Diddy had her ran out of New York. Wendy didn't deny it. She only clarified that it wasn't literally running, but yes, there was pressure for her to leave. The drama between Wendy and Diddy got so intense that it eventually spilled over onto her family. Things got especially dark when Diddy casually brought up Wendy's then 16-year-old son during an interview.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Who I met backstage,
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You represent a lot.
He slipped the boy into the conversation out of nowhere, and Wendy instantly looked uncomfortable. A lot of people believe he wasn't complimenting her son at all. He was sending a warning. Almost like he was saying, "Stay out of my business, or I'll remind you I know exactly where to hit you." He even described the boy as a great young man and told Wendy she represented a lot, which honestly felt less like praise and more like a loaded message. Now fast forward to Nicki Minaj entering the chat. Say what you want about Nicki, but lying isn't her thing, and people are finally starting to catch on. For the longest time, everyone blamed Diddy alone for Wendy's situation because of their messy history. But according to Nicki, there's more going on behind the scenes. She recently claimed that Jay-Z and Roc Nation also had a hand in what happened to Wendy, and that they're trying to do the same thing to her. The whole thing escalated after Nicki went off on Charlemagne for an interview he did with Gucci Mane and Keisha. After that interview dropped, Nicki accused Roc Nation of using Charlemagne to help push Wendy deeper into her guardianship. She called him out online and said he was helping Jay-Z run disgusting ploys against innocent families, pointing out that Charlemagne was around Wendy right before her life completely fell apart. And then Tasha K jumped in with even more tea. She claimed Roc Nation has allegedly been plotting to put Nicki in a guardianship too, the same way Wendy was taken out of the picture. But the only thing stopping them right now is Nicki's husband, Kenneth Petty. Since they're legally married, Even if someone manages to convince doctors to slap Nicki with a fake mental health diagnosis, all her assets would automatically go to her husband. That makes a guardianship nearly impossible unless they separate her from him.
I need them to, with my knees, get off my neck.
Yeah.
Well, Gina Lisa, I want to bring. Oh, go ahead, Wendy.
I can't do it with these two people again. I can't. And I'm speaking of the guardian.
And the guardians.
And the judge. I need a new guardian.
Tasha even pointed out a pattern. None of the celebrities who ended up in conservatorships were married. Britney wasn't married when hers started, and Wendy was already divorced by the time Wells Fargo swooped in. According to her, marriage adds a layer of legal protection that makes it harder for outside parties to take over someone's finances. She also explained that this isn't some wild conspiracy. It genuinely happens in the industry. If they can separate Nicki from Kenny, she becomes vulnerable because your spouse is the person who normally signs for you, manages your accounts, and has the power of attorney when things go wrong. She even mentioned how the media keeps pushing stories about Kenny stealing money to buy chains, saying that those rumors might be planted to create tension between them, because once the marriage cracks, everything else becomes easier to take. Tasha didn't hold back when she continued explaining the situation. She said the industry has been planting doctors who are willing to hand out fake diagnoses, calling Nicki things like schizophrenic or bipolar to build a case against her. According to her, the problem for them is Kenny. Nicki trusts him. They've known each other since childhood, and their families go way back. So, from Tasha's point of view, Kenny isn't the problem. He's the obstacle. And when someone stands in the way, she said the industry does what it always does. They create stories, push drama, and try to break that bond. Because once the couple is separated, it becomes easier to control and manipulate the person they're targeting. Tasha also pointed out that Nicki is deep into her career now and worth a massive amount of money, which means there's even more motive to take control of her finances. She compared the situation to Wendy Williams, saying that if Wendy had still been married to Kevin, the conservatorship might never have happened, because having a spouse legally changes who can control your money. She hinted that only one person in Wendy's life has ever been accused of stealing, but she left it at that.
Diddy will go to prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day, and you want to know what? It's about time, people. It is about time. Diddy done.
Wendy Williams made some shocking claims in a rare interview on The Breakfast Club. She called the show to slam her conservatorship and expose some of the conditions that they're holding her under.
What do I think about being a look? This system is broken. This system has falsified a lot. You know what I'm saying?
They said you're cognitively impaired and you're incapacitated.
Do I seem that way?
Wendy claims that the conservatorship will not let her see her father for his birthday next month. They got rid of her cats without her knowledge, and she only gets a $15 allowance. $15.
I am not cognitively impaired. You know what I'm saying? No. But I feel like I am in prison. What if I can't see my dad for his birthday? At 94, the day after that is not promised. My life is like up.
She says that the place that they're keeping her is in New York, away from her family in Florida. Her room just has a bed, a chair, and a TV. She can't receive calls. She can only call out, and she doesn't have access to the internet. She claims the conservatorship is retaliatory when she speaks out against them.
What if they take my phone? I won't be able to talk to anybody.
Wow. Let us know what you think. To me, this sounds like Britney Spears' conservatorship all over again.
At one point, she snapped back at people online to shut down the rumors hard. She made it clear that Nicki does not have schizophrenia, and that people needed to stop twisting her words. She also talked about how the industry tried to 5150 Kanye just because he was bipolar, which is a mood disorder, not a sign of incapacity. Then she pointed out the double standard. Wendy was locked in a luxury hospital suite while her own lawyers burned through her money. Michael Jackson passed away still fighting for his freedom, and Britney Spears literally fled the U.S. just to feel normal again after years in a conservatorship. Tasha said people should stop acting confused because this is the same pattern over and over again. A planned takedown to make certain artists look unstable so their money can be controlled. And she emphasized again that Kenny is the barrier standing between Nicki and that same fate. She even claimed all of this drama started right after Nicki tweeted about the COVID vaccine, hinting that the industry didn't like her speaking out. Now people are starting to wonder if Wendy's misdiagnosis wasn't an accident at all. According to speculation, they needed to keep Wendy quiet while Diddy's trial was happening so she couldn't testify about the things she knew or experienced. But now that the trial is over and Wendy is no longer a threat to anyone in that situation, suddenly the system has decided to take her medical results seriously and consider letting her out.
I know I pissed a lot of people off, including you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a full circle moment, everybody.
Yes.
Get into adult conversation. This is full circle.
Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't seen you in over 15 years, but I'm not seeing wrinkles. I'm seeing good. I don't, you live a really hectic lifestyle. And I don't understand all the running around. And who are these people that you surround yourself with? And who are these people? Do they you? Do you get, what happens? Now, you threw a house party, and I got the footage, okay? Look at this. Now, who has this many people at their house? Puff, and or Sean, Diddy, Doody, what do I call you?
I think you should call me Puff. You always call me Puff.
I do.
Yes.
Okay. First hurdle jumped. Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous to come out here.
And honestly, the timing makes everything look even more suspicious. Wendy had already gone through several independent tests that proved she wasn't sick, but nobody in charge cared. Every result was ignored until Diddy's trial ended. The moment the case wrapped up, suddenly a new test was done, and magically, this one mattered. Now they're finally considering setting her free. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Those new test results could be the key to a judge ending the guardianship that keeps Wendy Williams under constant supervision. She was last seen here at this memory care unit in Hudson Yards. Hey! We want Wendy free today! A positive step forward for those who have been rallying for TV star Wendy Williams to be set free from her legal and financial guardianship. A source tells Pix 11 News that Williams recently completed a new series of neurological tests, and it found that Williams does not have dementia. That diagnosis had led to her being kept in a memory care unit in Hudson Yards. Back in April, she waved to supporters from her window.
And while all of this is happening, the industry somehow started pushing the Nicki Minaj is crazy narrative, right when rumors began spreading about Jay-Z possibly being next after Diddy. The way all of these stories line up is way too convenient. It's almost like the industry isn't even trying to hide the playbook anymore. And people are starting to catch on. Of course, everyone online had something to say. Some people argued that Wendy's family should sue the doctor who originally misdiagnosed her, because that one false label ruined her entire life. Others pointed out that her condo was sold, her pet was taken away, and thousands of dollars worth of her clothes, furniture, and personal items were removed. All while Wendy publicly admitted to rehab for substance issues. To a lot of viewers, it looked like she was taken advantage of at her lowest point. And the consequences have been devastating.
That Williams is under, but her guardian has previously said she tested positive for frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. Dr. Joelle Salinas, a neurologist at NYU Langone, who is not involved in Williams's care, said there is no cure for FTD and adds it's difficult to diagnose.
At the end of the day, everyone seems to agree on one thing. People want Wendy free. After everything she's gone through, they just want her to get her life, her money, and her voice back. But here's the real question. If Wendy was misdiagnosed on purpose, who actually benefits from all of this? And if Nicki Minaj is suddenly being painted as unstable, is that coincidence or the same playbook all over again? What do you think is really happening behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the stories nobody else breaks down like this, make sure to hit that subscribe and stay locked in.